On today's Toy Spot, we're going to be looking at the Marvel Legends Face-Off series. We're going to be looking at the variant of Captain America and the Red Skull. We're going to be looking at the Unmasked Steve Rogers, and we're going to be looking at his arch enemy, Baron von Stoker. Sure I didn't pronounce that right, so if you're German, take no offense, but we have Steve Rogers and Baron von Stoker, which is S-T-R-U-C-H or U-C-K-E-R, Stoker. Very interesting about this package. It's one of the very few variants where it's a different character altogether. And if you've collected the other face-off figures, generally you get the exact same two figures, but you get variants to those figures, whether it be Punisher, Jigsaw, both versions, just different variants. Hulk, Leader, of course, two different versions. But this is one of the only packs, I believe this is the only pack, to contain an actual different character. And what they've ended up doing, however, though, is they've still put in Captain America versus Red Skull, and it would have been nice if they had just put Baron von Stoker, but at any rate, get a good look at the package. On the back, and the other figures in this wave: the Hulk versus Leader, Kingpin versus Daredevil, and Captain America versus Red Skull. Now, this is obviously the what we know to be the Red Skull, and then the Baron von Stoker at the top there. The read-up says, once a weakling army recruit drafted into World War II, Steve Rogers was given an experimental serum to transform him into the world's greatest fighter. He would become a super soldier his fellow countrymen would depend on and look up to as they defend the world from the Nazi invasion. The embodiment of all of it the great country stands for, Captain America leads his troops to victory, much to the chagrin of one who would always stand in his way, Red Skull, a Nazi so evil even Hitler was frightened. Mortal enemies locked in the oldest and most bitter of rivalries in the Marvel Universe, Red Skull threatens to spread his message of hate in an attempt to world dominance. As the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America is there to stop him at every turn. There you go. I'm already excited to get this opened. But there is packaging. There's packaging. What we'll do is we'll get this opened up. We won't wait any longer. We'll get this opened up. We'll have a look at the Steve Rogers Unmasked, as well as we'll look at Baron von Stoker. Stay tuned, guys. So much more to come. No, they don't actually have poles sticking through their heads. I actually got them just leaning up against the standee that the two figures come with. Both figures, you'll see, have holes in the back. So you can actually peg them into place. If you've seen my reviews of the other Marvel Legend Face-Off figures, you'll know that I really don't like these stands. I don't find they stand well at all. As soon as you put the figures in, they fall right over. The standee actually has a cardboard backing, a backdrop there. As you can see, some Hydra soldiers. Pretty neat. It's not bad. I mean, if you have it on display, it's pretty cool. The only downside, though, is for how large this is. If you don't have a lot of space, it's really hard to get all these face-off figures with all their dioramas on display without losing space. So I'm just going to put that aside. I really don't usually put those on display with the backings. But here we have Steve Rogers, Baron von Stoker, out of package. Once again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. As you can see, well, you probably can't see, but these figures utilize the exact same molds as the other figures. So what we'll do is we'll bring Steve Rogers here, give you guys a good look at him. Really nice looking figure. And if you hopefully know anything about me, one thing I'm a sucker for is unmasked versions of figures. And what they've done basically is they've taken a Steve Rogers body, or Captain America body, from the Marvel Legends Face-Off, and they've merely just put a Steve Rogers head on him. But they haven't just done that. They've actually taken a piece, I think you can see here, a separate piece, and they've put it on the figure to make it look like his mask actually is folded back, like he's just taken off his mask. That is so cool. And just to give you guys a comparison here, I'll bring in the Captain America, the masked version of Captain America, and they've done actually a really good job of taking the same face. You would almost think, looking at it, that the Steve Rogers here actually is the exact same figure, and they've just put a mask on him. I mean, it does look very, very similar. But the body is the exact same. There's actually nothing different between the two bodies here. Of course, you can see I've got Captain America wielding his shield here. Now the beauty of the shield, and I'll just put Captain America down here for a second. The beauty of the shield, if I bring it in here. First of all, very nicely painted, I have to say. The shield itself has a clip, a swivel out clip, which is very stiff. On this one, I've just actually opened this up, so it's a bit tighter than. Oh, am I gonna get it? Let's see if I can get something to pry it open here. We'll use Red Skull's sword. I'm sure that's not going to work. So let's see if we can check Captain America's shield here. It probably has it. No. Basically, the idea is just get him to stand. The idea is there's a arm clip here, which is extremely tight. Oh, that's so tight. I don't even have the fingernails to do it either. But this little clip here swings out, and you can actually clamp it onto his arm. It also has these straps that, if you really wanted to, you can actually put his shield over his torso. I won't do it just now, but that's probably how I'm going to have the Steve Rogers. I'm going to have the shield actually on his back, as opposed to on his hand or on his arm. The Captain America, I'll keep the shield actually on his arm. But I really like this figure. The paint is spectacular. As you can see, they've textured in all the scales on his outfit. The coloring is really nice. The paint's pretty clean. If you've seen my review of the Face Off Iron Man, ooh, boy, the paint was rough on that figure, I tell you. But actually, the paint's pretty good on this figure here. I have zero problems with it. And the sculpt is actually quite nice, too. I'll move Captain America out of the way. If you want to see the review of it, you just do a search. It's there. I've already reviewed it. But yeah, this great figure. I really like what they've done with the Steve Rogers here. Now, in the way of his articulation, he has the articulated head, and it looks to be a pin and socket joint. So you can bend the head up and down, you can rotate it. I will also want to point out, I really like that mask folded back. That's so cool. He has the, not used on every figure, but he's got the articulation in the shoulder area, or the shoulder chest area, where you can actually bring the shoulder back and forth. On top of that, though, he's got a joint in his elbow that you can move around. You rotate the bicep. 2 points of articulation in the elbow. You can rotate the glove, or the forearm in this case, and you can bend the hand. And as you saw there as well, each finger is actually, oh, I'm not going to do it. Each finger actually is individually articulated, which is very cool. He also has the articulation in the mid-torso. Very stiff again, though. It's the only downside to some new figures. You can't really get a lot of this stuff working right away. You kind of have to keep fiddling around with it. But he's got the waist swivel. You can bend the legs in and out, back and forth. You can rotate the thigh. You can bend the knee at 2 points. You can rotate the boot at the calf. You can bend the foot, as you can see here, and you can bend the toe. And so certainly no problem at all moving Steve Rogers into a really cool pose. That is a figure to get for sure. We'll put him aside here. We'll have a look at Baron von Stoker, Strucker. Again, a very nice looking figure. And similar, of course, to the Steve Rogers, the Baron von Strucker figure utilizes the exact same mold as Red Skull from the original release of this 2-pack. You see I've got Red Skull in a dynamic pose. I don't know, I honestly don't know which figure I like more. As much as I really like the Red Skull, I don't know if I like the outfit on him. I don't know. I do really like Baron von Strucker here, though. The green works really, really well. The paint, very clean. There's a few cases here where the green's kind of gone into the yellow, but the face is really neat. I like the face on him. And if you've seen the review of this guy, the articulation will be the exact same as well. He has the full range of movement in his head. You can bend the head up and down. You can move the arm back and forth in and out. The only thing, you can't really move it too far up just because the shoulders here. But he's got 2 points of articulation in the elbow. You can rotate the forearm. You can bend the arm, or bend the hand, I should say. And unlike the Steve Rogers, the articulation is in all 4 fingers. So you can only really move them all at once. Not really a big deal though. Mid-torso articulation, you can rotate the waist. You can bend the leg back and forth in and out. You can rotate the thigh. You can bend the knee at 2 points. Rotate the calf. You can bend the foot and bend the toe. So same articulation as Steve Rogers. Certainly, though, the body mold is a lot different between the two. Steve Rogers is a lot broader. But a great set. And I'm always impressed with the work and the sculpts that they put into these face-off figures. I'm never disappointed. The Hulk to this day is still my favorite Hulk. The Captain America is still one of my favorite Captain Americas of the Marvel Legends. Daredevil, even the Wolverine. The only downside, though, is that the face-off sets are so expensive to get them on eBay, and usually they're very hard to find as well. I would say, though, if you can find it, you should pick it up, though, especially if you're a fan of Captain America, you want an unmasked version of Steve Rogers. It's definitely worth picking up, though. The Steve Rogers, really, being that the same figure except he's unmasked, I'd still give this figure a 7.5. A really, really nice figure to get in your collection. The Baron von Strucker, he's a little weak in some of the joints just because of his build. I'd probably give him about 6.5, but a great set to get nonetheless. I would say get both. If you had to get one, might have to go with the masked version just because he is the iconic Captain America. But this is a great set to get, though. Today's Toy Spot, we were looking at the Marvel Legends Face-Off. We were looking at the unmasked Captain America, Steve Rogers, and we were looking at Baron von Strucker. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for many more Toy Spots and Marvel Legends spots to come, and I'll see you guys next time.